Yo, what is up guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. If you're new here, as always, if you could smash the subscribe button, it really helps me out. And also, if you could hit the like. Anyway, another heavyweight prospect video coming at you today. And today we are talking about the Russian heavyweight prospect, Apti Davtaev. Now, Apti Davtaev is a 30-year-old prospect. He is listed as 6'5" with a 78.5-inch reach. He's 30 years old and he's an orthodox fighter. As a professional, he's amassed a record of 20 wins, 0 defeats and 1 draw. 19 of his 20 wins come by way of knockout. Now, having a look online, I can't really find any details about Apti Davtaev's amateur background, so I'm not really sure in regards to that. But as a pro, minus that draw on his record, he's pretty much done what he's supposed to be doing, knocking over low-level competition. Apti Davtaev, as a fighter, he's got some interesting attributes. He's a big guy, as we know. He's 6'5", like I mentioned. And for a guy of that size, you expect to see somebody with a half-decent jab. And Apti Davtaev's jab looks pretty decent to me. He throws it out there with regularity. Sometimes you'll see him change levels with it, so he'll jab to the head, jab to the body. He uses that punch as a rangefinder and also as a way to set up his other offense. And offensively, Apti Davtaev, he's not just a 1-2 fighter. He actually has more than a jab and a straight right hand. He actually tries to mix it up. Sometimes with these big, tall heavyweights who are like 6'5" plus, sometimes their punch variety leaves a lot to be desired. But Apti Davtaev, he does try to mix it up, and he does have a few different shots in his arsenal. He's more than just a 1-2 type of guy. He does try to be creative. I've seen him uppercut off a jab. He'll throw a hook off a jab. Like I say, he varies that jab from body to head. He's pretty good at shortening his punches at mid-range. He can actually throw shots quite effectively. And even on the inside, from what little I've seen of him on the inside, he looks like he can handle himself. So he seems fairly comfortable at all ranges, and that's fairly impressive for a big guy. And on top of the fact that he throws a fair few different shots, he seems fairly heavy-handed, 19 knockouts in 20 fights kind of speaks for itself, but on the flip side, that is against a low level of competition. But, just by looking at him, he looks like he hits fairly hard. And all around, he's a fairly big, physically imposing, strong type of fighter. So offensively, this guy is definitely worth watching. He's not the quickest in the world in terms of hand and foot speed, so maybe that could be one of his undoings. And defensively, he does get caught, even at this low level that he's fighting at. So the defense, more than likely, in my opinion, will be what lets him down. Unless he's got some crazy chin or anything like that, then as this guy steps through the levels, I think his defensive flaws will kind of rear themselves and become more apparent. And also, he's not fought any real long fights, So we need to see him against higher levels of competition over more rounds before we can really get a grasp on where this guy stands. But, like I say, offensively, he's fairly good to watch, heavy-handed. I certainly believe Apti Davtaev will be in some fun fights, no matter how far he gets. I've got to say, Davtaev, he's not one of the prospects that I'm necessarily tipping for big things, but again, one of those guys who I would certainly keep an eye out for. And yeah, he certainly needs to step up now. He's had 21 fights, and he's actually been pro since 2013. So he's been pro for 7 years now, and if you look at his resume, there's really nobody there of any real quality. He's not fought close to fringe world level or anything like that. If you look at his resume, you can see how threadbare it is. He's fought a few decent, half-decent journeymen, the likes of Daniel Martz and, Garrett Wilson. These are okay journeymen, but they're probably the best guys he's beaten. So he certainly needs a step up, and he was actually scheduled to fight Lucas Browne. I think Lucas Browne, despite being way past it, despite basically being over the hill, that version of Lucas Browne, in my opinion, would still represent a step up for Apti Davtaev, and I've got no problem with that type of opponent for him next. I think that would be ideal, actually. Because, you know, at worst case, Lucas, he's a big guy, he's experienced, and he can punch hard. So maybe that fight could answer a few questions, who knows. But yeah, that's the sort of fight I'm looking for from Apti Davtaev next. And after that, providing he wins, just keep on stepping through the levels. He's only 30. You know, it's not super young, but it's not super old for the heavyweight division. So he's got a bit of time, but at the same time, you can't afford to wait around too long. So hopefully we see Davtaev start stepping through the levels, really just to see what sort of fighter we have here. But yeah, if I had to grade him, I certainly wouldn't tip this guy for massive things, but still a guy worth looking out for. And yeah, I'm pretty sure this guy will be in fun fights at the very least. Anyway, share your thoughts below. How do you rate Apti Davtaev? Have you actually seen him fight? If you have, share your thoughts below. And by the way, if you guys have any prospects in the heavyweight division that you want me to cover, feel free to, you know, put them in the comments and I'll certainly have a look. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.